I'm going to read from my book Dronehenge, the story of the remarkable discovery at Newgrange. And I'm going to read from the prologue, which is called A Love Affair with Henges. There is much work still to be done, both in identifying henges, embanked enclosures, and in more precisely locating assembly sites. Field reconnaissance and perhaps aerial remote sensing will take care of the one, while continuing study of the early Irish documents may provide clues for the other. This remarkably prescient passage was written by the eminent anthropologist and henge expert Professor Ronald Hicks of Ball State University, Indiana, in a paper he wrote back in 2009. Hicks has dedicated over 4 decades of his life to identifying henges among the 40,000 or so circular prehistoric earthworks known in Ireland. I met him at the ancient mound of Millmount in my hometown of Drogheda by the most bizarre coincidence on summer solstice 2005. Fate put him on my pathway, and the universe, it seems, conspired to bring us together. Because at that time, he had information which was to prove crucial to the completion of my first book, Island of the Setting Sun, in Search of Ireland's Ancient Astronomers, a collaboration with the artist Richard Moore. Hicks' information related to the giant henge of Douth, insipidly titled Site Q by some archaeologist of old, back in the days when letters of the alphabet were used to label sites, a far cry from the poetic monument names found in the Dinshanachus, the lore of the eminent places contained in the Book of Leinster. While Newgrange, Knowth and Douth were becoming more renowned with each passing year, Newgrange and Knowth command significant tourist traffic which is managed through the Brunabonia Visitor Centre. Hardly anyone outside of archaeological circles had heard of Site Q. In the summer of 2000, Richard Moore and I became possibly the first human beings in the modern era to witness the summer solstice sun rising in alignment with the opposed entrances of the great embankments of the Douth Henge. Our observation confirmed a statement Ronald Hicks had made in a 1985 paper suggesting that Site Q was aligned on the solstices, although at the time of the observation we hadn't even heard of Hicks, never mind read his work. That summer, my own love affair with henges began. Over the years, I have developed an extraordinary affinity with these strangely named monuments, despite my apparent overarching concern with the older and more prominent passage tombs. Later, I encountered the work of the 18th century astronomer and antiquarian Thomas Wright, and became singularly captivated by another great henge, the one dubbed Ireland's Stonehenge, which, sadly, was completely obliterated sometime after Wright's drawing of it in the 1740s. Or so it seemed. My own fixation, and you could justifiably refer to it as an obsession, with Ireland's Stonehenge, led me, after many years of research, to find out that its giant stones had, in fact, been buried in huge holes that had been dug behind them. This was done so that the land could be more easily ploughed. This was the last act of destruction which appeared to wipe Ireland's Stonehenge from the face of the earth. It is likely, so my proposition suggests, that the Dundalk to Armagh road, which was built probably in the 1750s, was the first and most vicious assault upon the great embankment and concentric stone circles of Ireland's Stonehenge. Some of the smaller stones were taken away to be used as gateposts and broken up to be utilised as road foundation material, confirming my suspicion as to this great monument's fate. After its destruction, it appears to have vanished completely, with no surface trace. However, in 1988, a Drogheda-based archaeologist, Victor Buckley, found crop marks in an old Cambridge University aerial photo taken in 1970, and concluded that this crop mark was, sadly, all that remained of a once great and exceptional, unparalleled monument, to which he gave the name Ireland's Stonehenge. I wrote initially about the fate of this huge structure in Island of the Setting Sun in 2006, but revisited the subject much more comprehensively in my 2017 book, Mythical Ireland, New Light on the Ancient Past, in which I detailed the likely causes of its destruction and the glimmer of hope that at least some of its giant stones are there at the site at Carnbeg outside Dundalk, County Louth, waiting to be excavated and perhaps restored to their original positions. I am an idealist at heart. I always yearn for the very best outcomes, even if these seem unlikely. My preoccupation with the fate of Ireland's Stonehenge and its later re-emergence from the mists of prehistory foreshadowed events which were to follow in the summer of 2018. Henges are not commonplace monuments, although there are concentrations of them in Ireland, particularly at Brú-na-Bóinne. What was the likelihood that another enormous henge monument, one with extraordinary, one-of-a-kind features, lay hidden in the landscape much closer to home, in the bend of the Boyne, one of the most scrutinised prehistoric landscapes on the face of the earth? If you had told me at any time before 10th of July 2018 that I would discover a monument close to Newgrange that would parallel Ireland's Stonehenge in terms of scale, age and fascinating features, I would have assumed you were indulging in fantasy. No such monument could exist at Brú-na-Bóinne, I would have said, because every significant archaeological feature in that relatively small area has been found by archaeologists and specialists using an array of technologies and techniques. Furthermore, nothing of that size could possibly have remained hidden from view for generations. That's what I would have said. And anyway, what useful contribution could a journalist, photographer and armchair archaeologist like myself make to the monumental landscape of Brú-na-Bóinne? The greatest contributions were those of the professionals, the experts. Many of these people are friends and acquaintances of mine. I knew my place, or at least I thought I did. The events of Tuesday, 10th of July 2018 changed everything. Fate and the universe conspired again. Accompanied by my longtime friend, ceaseless archaeological researcher and eminently talented photographer Ken Williams, we stumbled upon the find of the century. What follows is my account of that fantastic discovery, the long build-up to it, and the excitement in the days and weeks afterwards that saw the details of its revelation relayed to millions of people around the world. This is the story of the long-lost monument, now revealed to the world again, that has been dubbed Dronehenge. And I think it's most significant, as I sit here reading this to you, that this discovery was made during a drought. We had basically almost 3 months without any rain. And as I speak to you, the rain has started to fall heavily on the roof, and you can probably hear that on the video. Anyway, that is the prologue to my book, Dronehenge.